This is We the Sales Engineers Podcast, show 290.
Welcome to We the SEs Podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramzi Majaba.
What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ramzi Majaba, and it is not a solo show today. Today, my guest, his name is Mohamad Sharaf. He'll dive deep into his story, but suffice to say, he's been all over. Well, he's from the Middle East, found his way to Dallas, Texas. We'll talk about why, we'll talk about how. He'll give advice for other people about how they can do it. Keep in mind, we're not lawyers. This is just the experience that we know. So you might want to talk to someone professional about that if you want to. If you want to make the move, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Canada, you want to move to the US, wherever it is, just talk to a professional. This is his story. We also dig deep into getting into the cloud, right? Cloud is everywhere right now. He provided an amazing example about how he started learning the cloud, which I found interesting. And if I have time, I'll try to duplicate. So yeah, let's just jump into the English is my second language. Let's jump into the show. Hey, Mohamad, it seems that we've been talking 10 minutes about talking about what we're going to talk about.
That's
now we're talking about it. But hey, let's take a step back. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Before we start talking about like the main topic, which we're going to cover, which cloud, studying the cloud and getting into the cloud.
Yeah.
Who are you? And how did you get to where you're at today? And where are you? That's another question that might be useful.
Yes. So I'm Mohamad Sharaf. I'm originally from Egypt, and I moved to the United States in 2014. So I moved as a solutions architect or a solutions engineer. And back then, I was starting my career and journey with pre-sales and the cloud as well. So my background was building solutions for different organizations in different countries, actually. So I worked in Egypt, in the Gulf, and then when I moved here, I started with multiple organizations until I found my passion in doing pre-sales or technical sales, as we call it today. And while going through this, I learned a lot, and now I'm also sharing all what I've learned with others. So I have a mission to help people to get into this role and this career if they want and if they will, in order to help them go through the steps that I went through, but without having all the hurdles to discover things to reach there. And I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I work for Amazon, as well as working, like, as I said, to help IT professionals seek this transition as well.
Okay, so you're originally from Egypt. You worked in the Gulf,
yes,
in pre-sales and solution architecting. You moved to Dallas in 2014. And you've been with Amazon since, and you have a full-time job with Amazon as a solution architect, but you also like to help people to get into the cloud.
That's true. And I didn't work with Amazon since 2014. I worked with for Oracle before Amazon. I also worked for other companies who are not cloud providers. So today I also wanted to share with you how I made the switch from working as a solutions architect, doing like the standard type of work, into the cloud as well. Okay. But that was a transition that happened during these 10 years.
Okay. So I understand a lot of people in the Middle East like to work in the Gulf, right? In Dubai, Abu Dhabi, yeah. Right? I talked to a lot of them, and they have a hard time. They want to come to the US or Canada to work there. Is there a secret to moving, or how were you able to come to the US?
Well, there are many ways to move if you want to move. First of all, let's look at opportunities. So people move to the Gulf states because there was, when I was there, and now I think there still is, opportunities to find better jobs and do more because of the most of the international organizations or the multinational companies, they have presence in there, and there is a great support for them to operate and run easier than other countries in the region. Yes. So people go there for that, to seek like a better opportunities. Now, several people would still need or want or would like to have to move into Western countries, the US, maybe the UK, Australia, and Canada. And each one of these has its own way. So for me, it was really like it was I was meant to be here. So I didn't move here because of a company that moved me or something similar, but I moved here because of the diversity visa program. So I used to apply for this and then I got it.
Okay.
And when I got it, I thought, okay, this is a good opportunity. Now let's go to the other side of the world and discover things and see how things go. And maybe that's because I always wanted to see different things, go in different places. So maybe that suited me. And it wasn't an easy move, by the way. So moving into a new place where you don't know nobody, you don't know about the market, you don't know how you're going to get a job. Are you going to sustain yourself or not? That was a challenge, a big challenge. And I moved in here with my wife and kids, and we moved on the same flight. So I didn't move first and then bring them later. Yeah. We all moved on the same day. All what I did is I booked a hotel for a month, and then I thought, okay, let's go and see. That was a little bit of a risk, and you need to take risks sometime.
Yeah, just a little bit of a risk.
It is. And today, I would say that was 2014. If someone asked me today, I would say never do this today because the market is different, economies are different. Back then, you would get into the job market within 2 weeks to a month. Today, it takes 3 to 6 months to do so. So you have to be very cognizant of that, and you have to plan for it.
Yeah.
So that's an important point. And when I moved back then, it was I did some research before I moved, for sure. I started to look at the different states here in the US and see which one would suit me better, which one I would have any acquaintances or connections, because it's all about connections and how people would connect you to get into a new place in a new market. Back to the question that you had, like people would move in here. The other ways really are some people would move in here with their company. So if you are working for an international organization, they usually have the capability to move you between countries. And if you are good at what you do and there is a need, then you can move with them, and then they would sponsor you, and later on you would be like you get a green card and you stay in the US and then you go on. Some other approaches are for Canada or for Australia is the skilled immigration program, which requires you to apply and then add, like if you have like the caliber and the traits and the education required. Yeah. So really there is no one single way to do it. It's all different.
Yeah, you have to try all of them too.
Yes, you have got to try all if you want to do that. So really, like when I moved in the US, I was my plans were not to move to the US before that. Before I get it. My goal back then was maybe go and work in the UK because it was like in the region, it's near where I'm from and whatnot. But you never know where you get in the end. But once you see the opportunity, you have got to be ready for it. You have got to grab it and maximize the benefit out of it.
And just for some clarity, when you say UK, the UK is like a 3-hour flight from Egypt.
Yeah, it's about 5 hours flight.
That's 5 hours. It's same to Lebanon. In the US, you usually have to fly to the UK and then fly to wherever you want to go. So like that's why it's closer to the region. A lot of my family and friends would prefer to work in Europe so they can fly into Lebanon easier, right?
Yes.
So, I guess.
Yes. That's for sure.
I mean, you said you did your research, you looked at the different states, connections. Why Dallas?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first thing I wanted to know before moving is understanding the different states and the demographics of these states. and their inclination towards like, conservative versus not. I wanted something that would suit me and my family. Then I looked at who do I know. So I started looking whom do I know here in the US in these different states. And then I made this list, and then I started looking at the job market for the IT, since that's my career. So where out of these is the best place or the better place? And then I looked at a very important point. Nobody, maybe if you have not been to the US or maybe Canada, you don't think about this, but it's the taxes. How much taxes are you going to pay? When you start working and getting like income, you're going to pay tax for that. So I wanted to make sure that I'm in a place that would allow me to live at least comfortable without paying a lot of taxes in there with my family and with our situation. So again, this was the type of research. And then I found a previous manager who is my friend as well. I used to work for him in Qatar. And he's Palestinian and a U.S. citizen too. And he moved in here in the U.S. And then I called him and I said, "Hey, I'm planning to move, and I think Dallas is a good candidate. What do you think?" He's in Dallas. And then he said, "Yeah, 2 hands down, you move to Dallas," because the other alternative were New York City or somewhere in California. Yeah. And he told me, "No, you are a family. You'll need a family place. Dallas is the future. We are going to be having a lot of IT in here," and that's true. And it's also going to be a good place for your family. And having him here helped me in the beginning, because when you start moving, you need like to rent places. Someone might need to sign with you, like a co-signer and stuff like that. So having someone is important. Saying that if you're planning to move, or if this is what you're going to do and you don't have anybody, it's still doable, because today, as we speak, there are many groups, the Facebook groups that have have all Lebanese or all Egyptians or even all Arabs or whatever, the affinity groups that are there, and they help each other. So even if you are just like on your own, you'll find help in some way, shape, or form. It's just easier when you know someone.
Yeah. I've been to Dallas a few times. I loved it. The only thing I hated about it is I couldn't walk anywhere. Everything was like a 15 or maybe 30-minute drive. Like if I wanted to drive it's a 5-minute walk. It's hot. It takes 30 minutes by car. That's the only thing I complain about. And the toll roads, man, these pissed me off. So, all right, you moved to Dallas. You didn't have a job ready, right?
No, I didn't. So here's what I did. Before moving in Dallas, part of my research was I started to look at what I can do in there. So the last job before moving into the US, I used to work as a pre-sales engineer or a solutions architect for Red Hat in Dubai. So I wanted to move in there with a similar role. And I found out that in order to work in a role like this, that's customer facing, there is one challenge. You need to learn the culture, understand the people, see how meetings go, how interactions are. And this is a very important point when you are a technical sales person. You're going to work with the sales organizations. And actually, I think sales people are my clients. So we can talk about this later. But so I didn't have all that yet. I have it in another place, another culture, but not here. So it wasn't that easy. And this is an important point. You have got to be very flexible when you are moving to a new place. So what I did is I looked, okay, what are my skills? What do I do? What can I do? I started my career as a software developer. I can write software still. And I did a lot of project management while going through my career. I also did solution architecture or architecture, mainly like technical architecture. So I thought, okay, I'm open to any of these roles, like any roles in this, I would be open for it. And let me tell you a very funny story here. Before moving here, I was using a tool to build applications on top of the Oracle database. It's called Application Express. And this tool back then wasn't very popular, but I loved it because it's what you call the RAD tools, or tools that doesn't need a lot of writing code, but just use interfaces and build things. And now it's a very common theme, but back then it wasn't. Anyways, I liked it, and I used to do side projects and build things and so on. And then when I moved in here and I started looking for jobs, I started looking for project manager. Frankly, I found out that project management roles are not paying much versus a developer. Sorry.
Why did you want to go into why was your first inclination was project manager?
It wasn't. I was searching in all fields. I wasn't inclined to a specific thing. My inclination was more into the development, so a Java developer or so. But project management, I found a lot of availability of jobs in there.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, that's fine. The point here I want to make is be flexible.
Yeah.
Like when you start in any career, be flexible. Even if you are very experienced, doing a transition needs some flexibility in the beginning. It's very similar to the sales process. When you go talk about something and then you give a teaser, or you give a demo, or you give a trial of a service or a product, you do the same. You are getting into something new, so you need to find your way through that. Be flexible, do whatever it takes, and then you always need to have a goal. So when you go there, once you are in the market, start the next step. It's all steps. So that's what I did.
Something. Sorry, I'll get back to you in a second.
Yes.
You're talking about being flexible.
Yes.
One thing that I want to highlight, I mean, you may not have touched on, is not the ability to be flexible, but the tools that allow you to be flexible. You had a background in software development. You had a background in project management and in solution architecting, which gave you the ability to be flexible, right? And I find a lot of people don't think about the future if something bad happens. I'm a pre-sales engineer. I'm going to be a pre-sales engineer. If I get fired today, I'll find a job in pre-sales engineering. But you came from a different country and you needed a job. And the fact that you had so many tools in your tool belt allowed you to be flexible. So for someone to be flexible in the future, they have to develop their tool belt. They have to put tools in their tool belts today.
That's very true, Ramzi. So flexibility here means to be able to use the different tools that you have, or the different skills that you have, in order to use them for finding the opportunity. Again, not to say, okay, I was working as a senior architect in a specific place, and then that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. It's not going to go this way.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you. I don't know if you.
No, that's fine. So what happened? So I just thought, okay, I want to find a job, and I found this opportunity on LinkedIn, asking for an Apex developer. That's the tool I told you about.
Yeah.
And there was about 2 or 3 people in the state of Texas who would know this tool, because it wasn't very popular. So I applied, and when I applied, they accepted me in a week time.
Yeah.
And a couple of days after they accepted me, they canceled the whole project, and they said, yeah, we are not going to use it anymore. So now I was in there. Okay, I have been there for a week. What am I going to do? They said, can you write JavaScript? And do you do development on Oracle? I did this like maybe 15 years before that time back then. But I said, yeah, of course I do. And then I went back home and I started studying and reviewing like crazy, because I wanted to remember everything. Like software development is like, exercise. You need to practice. But then I started working on it. So being flexible, taking some risk, and really have what it takes to go, like, don't shy away from things, is very important to grab the opportunity again.
Yeah. So when I mentioned that, like, we all talk about not fair and life being fair, that knowing that coding system was your unfair advantage. And everyone has that.
Everybody has something.
Has something,
Everybody.
and you just have to figure what that is
Exactly.
and find the opportunities that match that.
Yes.
So yeah, I love
Yes.
that. Go ahead.
Two things. Everybody has some hardcore skills that they learn, and I'm talking about the IT career because that's what I know, but it goes with any career.
Yeah.
So you might have an advantage because you wear the security ways while at high school or in college, or you know how to do networks like crazy, or you do software development. So all these backgrounds are helping, but then everyone will have their own soft skills as well. So someone is like a people's person. He's like a network, walking network. Someone else is like very good at describing things and teaching things. That's how I am, and that's where I transitioned into pre-sales because of this part. So everyone will have a way. The important point is really to find out these skills and emphasize them and use them and utilize them to find your opportunity and go through it.
I mean, yeah, I agree with pretty much all of that, right? So we have to find our unfair advantage. I'm trying to figure out, like, you worked at Red Hat, right? Which is kind of a, well, data center software, virtualization software, potentially, very specialized, right?
Yes.
And then you worked in coding, also very specialized, and then you start working in the cloud.
Yes.
Right. For me, like I've been in networking for a long time. Yes. I know virtualization, and I've been going through the AWS course on Cloud Guru, and there's a lot of things that I never worked with in my entire life. Right?
Yes.
We were talking earlier, networking, and now I'm looking at data centers, and they're talking about RDS and Aura and all that stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know what a data center is.
Yeah.
So I have to go study what in the world is a data center in order to actually study AWS. So now I'm like doubling my studying. If someone wants to become flexible like you, right, and wants to learn about the cloud, and they have a niche knowledge in one area, because the cloud now encompasses everything that's in a data center, where do they start?
Yes, that's a good question. I'm going to tell you how I started, and then I'm going to tell you about the different other approaches to it. So when I wanted to start with the cloud, because back in 2015, maybe, it was the hype, and it was really like everywhere, like there was a need for it. I thought, okay, I've been doing software, I've been writing software actually, and then I've been working as an architect. Now I need to, number one, learn about the cloud. Number two, transition my experiences or my skills into there. So back then, Amazon AWS was the top, and everyone else was just like trying things, like Google was trying, Microsoft Azure was trying. And AWS was the number one provider that's providing a lot of documentation. Back then, the trainings were not like today. Like today, if you open like any platform, you will see like 1,001 courses that you can go through. Even cloud providers, they provide a lot of these trainings, and many of them are free. Back then, it wasn't the case.
YouTube has a bunch of free training.
YouTube has a bunch of free training, although I'm a very big believer that there is no free lunch. So you get what you pay for. So if you are looking for a quality training, you have got to pay for this training. It's an investment, I would call it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask you about that in a second.
Yes.
But keep going.
Yeah. So what happened back then is I started reading and learning the documentation, and there was a single training on a Cloud Guru. Back then, a Cloud Guru was the only place with training back then, and I went through these. But then that wasn't enough because I'm lacking any hands-on experiences. And if you sit in a bubble, start to build networking or VPCs as we call them, and adding and removing stuff, it wouldn't help much. So I started doing one thing, and I really I think it works for many people if they do it this way. I started freelancing on building AWS cloud environments for people. So I found this platform, freelancing platform, and I created an account for myself. I used to do a lot of, hands-on on the side to learn things, to be ready. And then I found one gig that was like very simple, straightforward. Someone wanted to do a very simple thing. And I went very fast. I did it on the side first to see that I can do it. And then I contacted them and I gave them like very cheap price. I didn't worry about the price back then. I just wanted to start. And they gave me the opportunity. And because I did it well, they kept giving me several of these on this cheap price because they love the price versus the value. They are getting like free work. And I did this like for 2 or 3 times. And then I told them, hey, that's good. Now, if you want to have a new gig, then we need to have like a new price for it. And I was building my profile in the platform. While doing this, 2 things happened. First, I got a lot of confidence on doing things on AWS because hands-on is like a different thing. Like when you go hands-on, you learn the nitty-gritty things of how to configure and how to create things. So you learn a lot, plus reading of the documentation. So a side note, this career, like any other IT careers, you will keep studying for your whole life. So if you are having a problem with studying and having to renew your knowledge every 6 months, yeah, find somewhere else. But for this career, you have got to be studying. And I think that's the case with any IT career. Going back, so I did a lot of freelancing on this platform. It was bringing me some side income, but the important thing was building my expertise. So I started there. And my next step was, okay, I have a day job and I want to work in the cloud field, like cloud career. And that's another important point. So I started looking within my organization where the opportunities are. I was hired as a cloud architect. I was hired as like a solutions architect, like for a platform or an applications. But I found out that they have been starting an initiative to move some of these workloads into the cloud. I was lucky because it was also in the Amazon AWS cloud. So I wanted to jump in this wagon. So I started talking about it, giving brown bag sessions to the technical team working there about the benefits of the cloud, how we can use it, what different services that we can leverage and so on. So people started to see, okay, there is value coming here. Why don't you join us in this group to help us as the cloud architect? So that gave me the opportunity to be like a day job in the cloud within my organization. And that's how I started.
That's an amazing story. I'm speechless for a second. But to clarify, when you say you were a solution architect, that was a post, like you weren't selling anything. You worked at a data center or something like that, and you were providing solutions to your employer. Is that accurate?
Yes.
The employer wanted to move to the cloud, and then you kind of taught everybody how to do it, proved that you can do it, and they invited you on that team.
Yes, that's true. And that's where I was saying, moving to cloud sales was coming out of 2 things. The first one was me working with this organization to migrate or to build the cloud solutions in there. But also it was me teaching them and giving them brown bag sessions, talking to groups of people and getting them to learn things, listening to them, understanding what they want to do. And I started doing my pre-sales stuff within the organization because it's a big organization.
You were selling internally.
So I'm selling it, but I wasn't selling it to to close it, but I was selling it to use it.
You were selling a solution, right? Yeah,
selling a solution.
Okay, I wanted to step back for a second. So you went and you became a freelancer on something you've never actually done professionally. You gave very cheap prices. Like, was it just the price? Like, how did you get someone to give you the chance?
Yeah. So in these platforms, there is a lot of people who are doing the same type of job or tasks, but they price it like in a fair way, like they need to, like they use it to as an income. For me, again, my unfair advantage was I wasn't looking for this income back then as much as I was looking for learning things through doing, and I wanted real life projects to do it, because demos and stuff are good, but they're not as good as real life examples or real life projects. So what I did is I would like wake up in the morning. It's similar to the sales process, prospecting, sending to each and every new opportunity. I send my own message that, yeah, here I'm available and I can do this. And I was just using the very low price just as a way, like a hook, to bring them into, okay, let's see what this guy is providing. And it only needs you to like go and keep consistent. Perseverance is very important until this person accepted. And I believe he accepted it because it was a very simple project and because it was a very low price. And as I mentioned before, I worked with him like several times, but then I told him, hey, if you like what I do, please give me the review that you think is fair.
Right.
And then he added the review in there. Once he gave me the 5-star review with a very good comment on it. Now I started to bump up my price and go after more and more gigs, and they started coming to me because now I had something to present as well. So I added the what I did to the portfolio in the platform, and so people now say, okay, he has done this project. Here's the review, and he's available. And I'm very like I respond very fast, and I have a very good curated answer, like to or proposal to answer to the proposals or to the requests with a proposal. So I worked hard on this. I took like a couple of courses on Udemy on how to freelance and how to like use this platform in order to be like to stand out. So again, hard work and when you have like, again, perseverance, hard work are getting you wherever you are. And by the way, one important thing I always tell people who come to me for coaching, I always tell them, I don't believe that anything is impossible. So some people say, yeah, that's difficult, or do you have a disadvantage in this market, or you need to have had a degree. I don't believe in that. I had a mechanical engineering degree, so it has nothing to do with what I do. And I started from scratch. Actually, even my career, when I started, my first job was a software development because I taught myself, like I was a self-taught person. So even I didn't use my mechanical engineering for a single day. So again, my point is, if you want to do something, you can do it. Just put the time and put the effort, like work like a dog, and you're going to get it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, so like I talked to a lot of people, and some people are looking for jobs, right? And they have time to actually do projects, but they're all over the place. They try to do way too many things. Like what I love about you is that you kind of focus. You have like absolute focus around this topic, this area, right? And then you got jobs in this topic and this area, which is basically developing stuff on the cloud. Whereas when I talk to other people who are trying to learn coding while trying to do the cloud, while trying to find a job, while trying to do other things all at the same time, and they're unfocused. And at that point, yes, it does become impossible. So if there's something you want to learn, you might want to get obsessed about that specific topic and just put all your efforts into that. What are your thoughts around that topic, around that?
My thoughts are, this is it's a marathon. It's not like a sprint. So if you are trying to learn something new within the next 6 months, you have got to focus. But if I'm talking about a career of like more than 20 years, right? So within this career, you do things on different times. So I actually did development, and then I did some project management. I did solutions architecture. So you might be doing several things if you have been working for some time. That's why the approach is different. If you have been working for a long time and you want to transition to the cloud, I would give you a different path than a person who has started like 3 or 4 years ago and wants to go there. It's totally different.
Well, what I'm talking about is people who are starting right now.
Okay,
and they're trying to learn everything.
Oh, starting like fresh, like they don't have
like someone was, for example, someone worked in the services industry, like as a trucker.
Yes.
Right? And they want to get into sales engineering, and I tell them, like, if you don't have any technical skills, why would anyone give you the chance? It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna learn this, and that. Like, no, just learn one thing.
Yes.
Focus on that. Do projects. Prove yourself.
Exactly.
And then, like, I find it hard to learn like 5 different things at the same time, right?
Yes.
But over a 20-year career, you can learn a million things, but one after you're stacking.
Yeah.
Versus trying to learn all at the same time.
Yes, okay. That's true. That's true. And let me go deeper in this point a little. If you are starting your career, you know that you want to do cloud as a career. That's a very good one. To be a cloud architect or to be a solutions architect requires a lot of background. So there are different other roles in the cloud that you can start pursuing. And what you need to do is first learn what these roles are and see what are the requirements for them, and then focus on these. So don't go right and left, but look at what is needed for this role. So definitely focusing on a specific role. And I would say focus first on the technical skills, because these are your entry point to anywhere. But while going there, look at the other set of skills that you will need anyways, whether you do technical sales or not, like presentation skills. How do you talk to people? How do you listen to people? How do you put your customer or your client first? How do you understand their pain points? All the skills that we accumulated through the years are now available through coaching programs and available through books and available through trainings. And you need to learn these as well, because they will help you now and in the future. So let me give you an example. If you are, if you want to start in the cloud, you need to look at an entry-level role. So entry-level roles like support, cloud support. So at the end of the day, even having a workload running in the cloud, organizations will need support for that. So a role in support would help you much get into this career. You might need to learn basic things about operating systems like Linux. Not necessarily be like, the Wiz expert, but at least to know the operations and support requirements in there. Or you can work as a cloud administrator, so help an organization run their workloads in the cloud. Not necessarily build new things, but run what's run, like maintain what's running, looking at logs, making sure that like everything is working in the environment and so on. Another approach, if you are a developer, if you know a programming language, and a lot of people are, they know programming languages out of school, actually, out of like the high school, you can leverage that. Leverage this through building solutions on the cloud. So now there are many services that are available on the cloud that you can leverage when building applications. So you wouldn't necessarily want to start as the technical sales solutions architect or the guru of the cloud in the organization, but you can start with one of these roles, and the path into that is easy. But one thing to emphasize here is you need to bring in something to get in there. So you need to have some background. Yeah. If you were like working on, as I mentioned, like a developer or even a systems engineer, operating system, something that you can leverage and say, hey, I can do this in the cloud. So that's where your entry level is. But don't go right and left. And
Yeah.
one more thing is there are, again, several ways to start learning, like training online and coaching. And then there is the certification part. So each and every cloud service provider will have their own set of certification that you can sit down and take the test, and then you get certified. There is a two sides of it. The good side is if you're going to start working in this career, you need to have the certification because everyone else has the certification. So if I'm hiring for a role, I have two candidates. Both are having same background and good skills. One of them is certified, one is not. I'm going to take the certified. Saying that, never think that a certificate would be your key into this field, because the certificates are just there to verify that you know the basics, maybe, or you know the different services, maybe in some details, but they would never tell if you are experienced or not, if you have hands-on or not, if you actually have touched a cloud service or not. So I know people who are very good at studying. They would go and study for a certificate, they clear the certificate, and they have not even had a cloud account.
Yeah.
So saying that, you need both. So work for the certificate. I use the certificates when I see the and test for the certificates. I use them as my guideline towards what different components and services I need to learn when I want to learn about something.
Well,
so
that's what I think is important. Certificates show that you can learn.
True, very true.
I find that's the only use of certificates. So I can learn, but for the last 10 years, I haven't invested in actually going to get a certification, mainly because I'm at a job and I'm doing well, right? But then if I talk to a manager, they have no proof. Like if I'm trying to move on to another job, they have no proof that I can learn because I haven't been certified in 10 years, right? They're not just going to take my word for it. Having a certificate shows that you can learn.
It definitely shows that you can learn, but I also believe that helps you organize, like, or find. Remember where you were asking me what do I need to learn and not go right and left, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to have like any framework, or I wouldn't say framework, a checklist of what you need to learn, these certificates, look at what they ask, like the different topics.
100%.
That would give you
100%. Like I used to study the certification. I just never did the exams.
Oh, got it.
Right?
Got it. Yeah.
So that's me personally, because like I learned, I don't need to. I'm not looking for a job. I don't need to do the exam.
Yes.
But doing the exam will prove to other people. Like if you have that certificate in your resume, at least now people know that you know how to study. It doesn't mean that you're going to be good at the job, but that's one for pre-sales. That's one check mark on your box, because, like you said, we have to study every day.
I lost the sound. I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now or no? Oh, that's interesting. Let me test. All right. So yeah, we lost audio for a second. I was just saying that we at least having a certificate that shows that you know how to study. Now, the one question I have, like when I used to work at Alcatel-Lucent, they had an Alcatel-Lucent University. We go and sit there for a week and take a course, and which would prepare you for the exam. And everything is moving to the cloud. You mentioned a Cloud Guru. I mentioned that. If someone wants to take a course, a sit-in course, do you know of any that are available?
So there are many courses actually today as we speak. There is a very interesting one called Cantril, and Cantril is having courses specifically for AWS and others, but it's really like very comprehensive. So Cantril is doing his trainings like very detailed and very long videos. You do this when you really want to learn ongoing. So if you are a cloud engineer and you want to be an architect, or you are an architect and you want to add to what you know, then go with the cantrip. Another one is Stefan Marek, and Stefan Marek is he's having his courses on Udemy and other places.
Yep.
Stefan is, in my opinion, is the best place to learn before you see the certificate. So I wanted, so I'm working for Amazon AWS. I have to be certified.
Yeah,
it's mandatory. So sitting the certificate, I was using our training and documentation, but also was using Stefan Marek. And then there are other places where you can get more sample questions, exams, like to learn, and that's important as well, because the exams are not only testing your knowledge, it's also testing how you can sit a test, like your speed, how you spend the time within questions and so on. So these are also important to find and purchase them. Again, if it's free, I wouldn't use it because it's usually full of nonsense. It has to be a legitimate place. I don't do brain dumps. All this stuff is I don't do it. Get things that have someone who is spending the time and the effort to provide value to you, and buy it and use it.
Yeah, I actually have Stefan Marek's course, and I have Cloud Guru.
Yes,
they're doing the AWS certification as well. But it sounds like there isn't somewhere where you can go for a week, sit with an instructor in a group class.
No, there is. So that's something that some people do, like a workshop. There are workshops that can help with that. The good thing about a workshop is gives you hands-on training, and you can do this on your own time. So there is, if you, for instance, I'm going to talk about Amazon again because that's what I know, but I'm sure that other cloud providers, they have it. If you go to a workshop.aws, it provides you with a ton of free workshops that you can run on your own environment. So all what you need to do, go there, search for the workshop that you want, and it's a self-paced, so you can just go through the steps and do hands-on. Remember when I started, I told you when I started, I used to use this freelancing to build projects. Now, what if you want to start? You don't even necessarily need to do this freelancing and put the effort to sell your services, although it's good for to learn sales. But if you want to do it now to focus on one thing, which is learn, then you can use these workshops, and they are for free. Again, I believe that technology and technical stuff can be learned online through books. I'm when I started, books were the only thing that we could use to learn. So I know today, new generations, they are not reading books because there is a lot of videos and stuff, which is great. I love it. Use the videos, buy courses, do these hands-on workshops. If you're going to pay for a workshop or for a coaching program, pay for something that teaches you the skills that you cannot read about or you cannot learn from an online course. Skills that needs interaction, skills that are tailored for you. So when people come to me for coaching, they come for coaching to become like a sales engineers or solutions architects. The traits that they learn is not how to build the solutions architecture, build an architecture for a solution.
Yeah.
It's more on, okay, how do I present myself? How do I listen? How do I do discovery? For public speaking, a sales or a pre-sales engineer is a public speaking person. You're going to be doing public speaking to 2 or 3 people or 300 people. And it's very important to know how to talk to people, how to be very much confident, and how to stand up and be very interesting to others and get them drawn to you. So that's important.
Here's the thing about public speaking, and I know I think we'll agree on a lot of it. I don't like to tell people that SEs are public speakers.
Okay.
Mainly because our job is to listen more than to speak, right? So I like to say we're public askers. I know what you mean. Okay. When we speak, we need to be able to convince people.
Yes.
But people tend to think that, because we're public speakers, we have to be speaking most of the time, where in fact we have to be listening most of the time.
No, and thanks for that. I like this point. Definitely, when you as an SE or a solutions architect, you will have several hats. It's not one thing all the time. If I'm sitting in a meeting with my customer talking about or learning about what they want to do, I will be listening more than speaking because I need to do it. It's like we start by discovery. And I think like many episodes that you have had are talking about the different aspects. So I don't want to delve into there, but talking about discovery, you will be listening more. You're trying to really learn what their pain points are. And you need to, and sometimes when you listen to them, they bring it out and they help you with the solution. So you don't even need to work much towards it.
Exactly.
When they put it in, like when someone sits down and starts telling you their solution, they hear themselves speaking it up. And then they start telling you something like, yeah, but you know what? If we were to do this, it might have helped. Okay, you're giving solution. But anyways, another important aspect of a solutions architect or a sales engineer is teaching everyone else things. So we teach people because we are bridging the gap between the technical groups and the business groups. We can do this communication bridge, and this communication bridge is two ways.
Yeah.
One way is listening. The second way is really to teach people things, and teaching people things can be in public venues. So for instance, within AWS, we speak in like reInvent and other AWS summits. The people who speak in these publicly are mostly the solutions architects because they see all the different aspects and they stand up and speak. Yeah. So in my opinion, or maybe because I like it, I don't know, public speaking is important.
Yeah, I think public speaking is very important. I think AWS, VMware, these kinds of companies are special because the SEs get to do a lot of public speak. Like you stand on stage and actually speak, whereas a lot of SEs don't have to do that. Like we end up in a room with 6 people and we have to have a conversation. Like even if we're teaching them, people don't like to be told what to do, right? Or taught. They want to learn. So you have to ask the right questions. And that's my point with that. Because I've worked with a lot of salespeople and SEs who think their job is public speaking. Yeah. We go into a discovery call and we leave a discovery call without learning anything because all that they did, the sales team did most of the talking instead of the customer. And that I think that's my point. But I think we agree on a lot of things.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned now is because it wasn't the right venue for the right activity. So remember, there are some times where within the sales cycle, you will be presenting a solution or you will be demoing something. And I know that you have talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
So definitely you shouldn't be
the right time.
Exactly. Use the right time to do the right activity.
Yes.
But then you need to, and again, public speaking. Some people say, yeah, public speaking has to be in a public venue. I refer to it as speaking mainly.
This is public speaking.
Present exactly. How you present your point, even if you are in a closed room with 10, 15 people, it's still sort of like public speaking, and it has its own traits. And going back to learning, this is the stuff that you need to learn through coaching, through workshops in in person, because there are things that, for instance, in my workshop, when I bring in the people, part of this is, okay, let's go over discovery, and then we do like a simulation of the discovery, or we do a simulation of a demo. So I ask them, okay, let's do this demo of one service or product or solution, or let's present the solution and so on. This is the experience, or this is the activities that you want to do, and then get feedback from the group and from a facilitator in order to learn things and take this into the market. Because again, if you are transitioning into sales engineering, when you are interviewing with these organizations, when you are interviewing with AWS, for instance, you will be tested for these traits more than tested for how you create RDS or do technical stuff. Actually, the technical interview within the interview process of AWS is very short, but the whole day is about the different principles. They call it the leadership principles, and what do you have out of these. So, and we can talk about the interviewing process because it's a very interesting one. It's a very tough one as well. But
Maybe we
again,
should schedule another call because we're
yeah,
almost at the end of the hour.
understood.
It
Yes,
is Sunday, so
sure.
I think our families need us. But I wanted to jump into the not so fire round. These are the same 4 questions I ask every guest, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So starting with number 1 is, what do you love about solution architecting?
Okay. What I love about solution architecture is I see myself as the quarterback. That's what they call it here in the US, from the American football, which I learned when I got here. So the person who is really like, the big brother, who is enabling the sales teams and everyone else to reach one goal, which is close the sale. Closing the sale is something that I like to see. It's fulfilling. That's why even when I even started with with learning, I did like freelancing, because the moment I close is the moment. Okay, now this is a good indication. So that's the interaction, the dynamics are important. And again, I like the people. I like to talk to others. I like to hear them, and I like this interaction more than I like to sit down and troubleshoot a problem within 2,000 lines of code. That's not me, all right? So again, some other people would rather, like, sit down and do this sort of like troubleshooting than speaking to a person. It's all about different people. So I think that's what I love about it.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know if you're aware, I went into engineering because I didn't want to talk to people.
Okay.
And then it turns out I can't be an engineer without talking to people, so might as well just do it full time as a job. Question number 2. Mohamad, what do you consider is your superpower?
Oh, my superpowers is really to take difficult topics and make them simplified and teach others how these are. So, and that's not something that I claim I'm doing or I'm good at. That's what I got to learn from others. I got a lot of feedback throughout the years. Whenever I'm taking any topic and discussing it and showing you how it works, people say, "Oh, wow, you are doing this like very good." Like, so now I found out that this is something that I have. I didn't know that like 10, 15 years ago. I didn't know that, but people kept telling me, yeah, whenever you are like teaching something, we learn it.
Nice.
So I thought, okay, let me emphasize on this. And again, that's why I'm in this business as well, because that's what I can do. So I think it's a gift. So yeah.
That's good. That's good. And it's always hard to actually understand what your superpower is, which is why I like to ask that question. So third question of the Not So Fire. We mentioned a lot of resources right now, from Control to Cloud Guru, Stefan Marik. If you wanted to share, if someone's trying to break into the pre-sales world, is there a non-technical resource you would recommend that they actually absorb?
First of all, you can use the books. So there are a lot of books that are very good that you can do. Like, there is a book about demos. It's more just
effing demo.
Effing demo. Thank you.
I got that.
That's a good
I had the guest on the show.
Yeah. I love this book very much. There is another book about and I think you mentioned this book. It's about the sales engineers, like the five traits of sales engineers, something like that.
The 6 habits of highly effective.
6 habits, exactly, of highly effective sales engineers. This is a very good book as well. And really, like, not because I'm in your show, but since I know about this show and I started listening to it, every person that you bring in is adding something. And I love it, because it's not something that you would be waiting for a book to be published and you get to know about the book and then you start eventually reading or not, but you get to learn things. I've been learning a lot, and I'm really like, I like it because it's a lot of valuable information. And there's not much similar podcasts like this one that is covering this. So again, I believe that this very podcast should be like an important resource for sales engineers, whether they are starting to be sales engineers or like experienced ones still need to listen to your podcast.
Well, I appreciate that, Mohamad, and like like every guest has been amazing, and they get all the credit. I'm just here to facilitate. So,
and
welcome to the club.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Did you have anything else to add?
No, I don't have anything else. I would like to. I wanted actually. So let me tell you this.
I have one more question for the not so fire round, and then I'll leave you with the final words, and that way we can end the show with your final words. Is there a habit you're working on today to improve in your personal or professional life?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Is there a habit you're working on today to improve in your personal or professional life?
A habit to like to improve?
Yeah, in your personal or professional life.
Well, I think I like mainly read a lot. That's one thing. It's always reading, because that's what you need to do when it comes to professional life. But what I also tend to do is to talk in public venues, and talking in public venues, not necessarily for business, but so like a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to middle school students about what the cloud is in a very simple terms, like, like you're talking to middle school, so you need to tell them on the level that they comprehend. So this is always like, like when you practice sports, you need to always be doing the things that you like. So I tend to always find these types of things, and this helps me stay like, on top of things and have my skills polished. So that's something I do.
Nice. I like that. Mohamad, we're at the end of the show. I know you wanted to say something. I'll let you end the show whichever way you see fit.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here today, and I like this show. I'm now having it in my as my top podcast that I listen to, and there are other topics that I would like to talk about. Again, if you think that they are interesting, like how you interview for the cloud providers, because I have done this and I know it. I worked for two of them. And also more on the solutions or the sales engineering skills. Today I think we touched them barely, but we can go into more details on that. And because I think that having all these available for other people who are starting is important. Again, as I mentioned, when I started, I was very much like trying to find out any guidance, but I couldn't, and I went my own way. It went well for me, so I want to reach out to more people to help them if they are gonna be doing that. So that's something I would love to do. So I'm very happy to be here with you, and thanks for the opportunity.
It's my pleasure. We'll schedule something. We'll schedule 2 more episodes. I don't mind. I would actually love that. But Mohamad, you mentioned that you coach people and you help people. If people want to reach out and connect with you,
yes,
where can they do that?
So if people want to reach out to me, they can either reach out to me via my LinkedIn or they can go to the website bridgingthegap.ws, like as in workshop. Okay. So here in this website, there is a button where you can put a discovery or call with me, and then we would have like a talk for maybe 20 minutes or so to see if I have something that can help you, if we are a good fit, and then I can help. So I do 2 things. I do workshops and I do coaching. Coaching is a one-on-one. That's for helping more into how you get into the job market. So helping you identifying the leads, I call them the leads, because I believe that even going to find the job is a sales process. And I have different activities that I help with. Or on the contrary, the workshops are more for people who are like IT professionals, but they want to move into the technical sales. It's different offerings for individuals and organizations as well. So again, the website is bridgingthegap.ws.
Okay, I'll leave a link to that in the show notes. Thank you, Mohamad, for coming on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Mohamad, for coming on. Mohamad was supposed to end the show, but I feel like I should just say bye because I didn't get the chance to do that. So share, like, and subscribe, leave a review. With that, I'm signing off.